Hello, 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 everyone. It's Feature Friday. I am your host, Debbie Pace. Thank you so much for joining. Feature Friday is a time that's my favorite time of the week, and I get to interview amazing entrepreneurs, business owners, and just people, human beings with a great mission who are totally kicking ass and taking action and moving forward. And I'm really, really excited about this Feature Friday because I get to talk with Sara Martin, who is an intuitive guide, and she makes artisan jewelry to help heal people. And she has all kinds of amazing things. And I couldn't even begin to describe how amazing she is. So Sara, I'm just going to let you do the honors. Tell us all about you. Give us a lowdown on who you are, what you're about, and what makes you a trailblazing leader.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I'm Sara Martin. I'm an intuitive and an artist, and my main tool for my intuitive work right now is a spiritual healing modality known as soul realignment. And what I do is I utilize what's known as the Akashic Records, which is, if you're unfamiliar with what the Akashic Records are, they're like an energetic database where we can access all the information about our souls and all our soul's complete history and every choice it's made down through all its incarnations to help heal and move us forward and make the best choices that are in alignment with our divinity. I use, like I said, I use soul realignment to do that work with people. And it's super exciting. And the reason I chose that, I guess, is because it helped me so much. It helped me learn how I am creating my circumstances through choice. Hi, Mila. How are you? And I'm also a metalsmith and artisan, and I've been an artist ever since I can remember. I used to paint on river rocks when I was a kid with my aunt, and I've always created art in some form. And for the past 15 years, it's been in the form of jewelry. I love that because I get to do metalwork and bang silver and copper with a hammer and find amazing stones and utilize the stones to create jewelry. And I've focused, as I started doing my intuitive work, I decided to do also to go with, intuitive healing and spiritual healing, healing jewelry. So I focus right now on custom talismans, and I use energetically resonant stones that I guess you could say I channel it, the information that the stone or stones that could be best served by having in a piece of jewelry lying next to them. So that's what I do currently. And I'm excited about it. I love, I adore this work. So
sounds amazing, and such a combination of pieces too, which is really interesting. So when you say that first of all, I have a bunch of questions. For a lot of people, the term Akashic Records is like speaking a foreign language. So I wanted to get a little bit more on that, but I also wanted to ask you, so when you're doing your jewelry, do you have, you say you channel it, do you have specific people in mind? Does someone come to mind? How do you follow your soul and your intuition and all of that through what you do?
Well, the jewelry is custom to me. They want a specific piece. So I just design it for that person. So that kind of makes it a lot easier. I don't have to design something for, untold numbers of people.
Right.
So it's just for that one person, and I tune into them and we talk, and they, set an intention for what they want for the piece, which helps guide what I choose. And then I just choose a stone or stones intuitively and design the piece from there. And it's mainly pendants that I'm making now. So,
very nice.
Yeah. And so the design itself is it's a constant. So it's like, the same design, but the stone or stones is what, makes it for that person.
Okay, good. So I think that I didn't catch the piece about they were all custom. So you don't do lines and then do custom pieces. It's all custom.
I used to, and it didn't seem to be the way to go. So I've narrowed down the focus to just custom pieces now. So
right, you got to go whichever way it takes you, right?
Yes.
You got to be in the flow,
right?
All right.
Absolutely.
So Akashic Records, to a layperson who's never heard of it, and you did give a little bit of a description, and I know a little bit more about it probably than just the layperson, because I actually have a family member who recently supposedly, and I don't know, because sometimes it's hard for people to grasp what's not tangible.
Right.
So she apparently had a certain side of the family cleared, and she can't tell me anything about it, because you can't talk about it because it's supposed to be cleared, right? Anyway,
Okay.
But there's a lot of people who probably haven't heard of this, and so I would love to give you an opportunity to give a brief explanation and bring people really into the fold of what you do.
Okay. So the word Akasha, it's from the Sanskrit, and I'm not sure of the meaning. I used to know and I forgot. But the word Akasha, it's the root word. It comes from this old Indian Sanskrit language, and so it's not a physical place or time and space. It's information, and it's energetic information that we can access through the intuitive state, and that's basically what it is. Think of it as like a big database of information. That's how I was, that's what works for me. And it's kind of it. And I don't know if people are familiar with the collective consciousness. It's similar to that. It's like it holds all the information from everything.
Okay.
And we use it in my work. We focus on the individual soul. And the soul's story, which of course resides in the Akashic Records, and every soul has its own individual record, which we work with, and we work to clear the blocks and restrictions that are created over lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of negative choices that go against our identity. Does that help?
Yes, you said they go against our identity. Sorry, you broke up just a little bit.
Our divinity. So
our divinity. Okay.
Divine.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So have you seen the movie The Guardians?
No.
It's about the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and Jack Frost, and I'm missing somebody.
Huh.
Oh, Sandman, the Sandman. I think that's it. Okay. So anyway, not to be a spoiler in case someone hasn't seen it. First of all, I highly recommend seeing the movie. And I know I do not get any kickbacks on that, just so you know. But it's a great movie about believing in things unseen, and about finding that childlike faith and belief in all of us. And I just love it. It's kind of like Frozen, where you think it's a kid's movie and you're watching it going, wow, that's pretty powerful stuff.
Okay.
So there's a part, though, the Tooth Fairy has everyone's memories in their teeth. And so everyone has a separate little bank of memory. And it's magical, and it's, and I'm wondering if that didn't have some connection to the Akashic Records of what you're talking about. It sounds like it's based on the exact same principle of basically all the memories are stored there and people aren't supposed to see them. But this one particular person got access to them, and it actually helped them refine their center, find the thing that they had been denying all this time. And so it's really, really powerful. So I'm thinking that what you're saying is pretty much along the same lines, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is it basically about realigning yourself with who you really are based on what's energetically yours, even though collectively we are all energetically attached?
Exactly. That's very well put. Yes. And,
okay.
And it's just, and I guess it's all depends on what frame of, how you want to frame it, I guess. How you want to frame how you do your healing or do your soul's work or do your work to, like I said, heal what's inside that, keeps showing up. So, yeah. So whether it's, in your teeth, which is, that's not too far off base really, because we store memories in our bodies too. So, so whether it's in your teeth from the Tooth Fairy or, in that energetic, super highway that is the Akashic Records, it's all there. And you just decide what way works best for you to access it and work with it.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we got that clarity, because I think that'll help a lot of people who are watching this to really understand, or who may be listening, to really understand that it's about energy and pretty much owning what's yours and what's not, and clearing out whatever isn't. So how do you, for example, people come to you with what types of scenarios, and then you work through them with, like, what are your favorite types of things to work with people on clearing these energies?
I don't know if I really have a favorite, but it seems like people usually come when there's something specific that usually the people that I work with are on some sort of spiritual development path to begin with, and they have some self-awareness, and they're pretty disciplined about what, about their spiritual practice. And it may be that they've come up against something repeatedly that, with other forms of energy healing or, work like that, it just doesn't crack through it. And it's sometimes, like, for me, it was like a last resort. Like, I had this, I was doing all this searching, and I found, Akashic record readings, and it was kind of like a last resort. And sometimes it's kind of like that for people, they've just been doing this one, trying to get through this one thing, this one pattern or whatever for a long time. And that tends to be like what people come for. Like they're trying to get past something, and no matter what they do, it feels like maybe it gives you the sense of like you're chasing your tail or something like that. So that's typically what people come for.
Right. So it's kind of like, kind of like I'm tired of the fight, and there's a really strong pattern here I can't break, and I'm wondering if it's maybe beyond me.
And sometimes, like, the mindset work is good, and it really helps, but it's like sometimes it's just not enough. Like sometimes it's at the level of the soul, and that's my specialty. So we go to the level of the soul, which is the deepest part of yourself. And it's where this stuff resides. And sometimes it shows up in the other levels of being, like the mental level, the emotional level, but where it originates is at the soul level. And that the only way to really get to there is to go to the soul itself.
Right.
And
this is some pretty neat stuff. So I do want to pause and say, if anyone has questions, feel free to drop them in, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay. I'm sure Sara will come back in and answer any questions, not just on her beautiful jewelry, but also on Akashic Records. Now, there's other stuff too that you do that we haven't really talked about. Is this correct?
Yes.
Tell us more about that. The other thing too is, I want to learn more about some of the other stuff that you do, but also what makes you a trailblazing leader? Because I'm thinking, when you said you searched and searched and finally came across the Akashic Records, I'm thinking you were searching for a reason, right? Were you trying to get through something in your own life?
Yes. Yeah. So it was probably more than 10 years ago now. I met someone who actually, it's a long story, but the person that I met, it was a man, and we were working together in like a professional setting, and I didn't know him that well, but he it was like he was like a catalyst for something inside of me. And it was the most like confusing, and like, I'm being dramatic, I'm using dramatic language, but it really was, the feeling was like very like it was like soul wrenching, because he left the picture and I was like devastated, and it was the weirdest thing because and I didn't know like where like all these feelings were coming from, and it wasn't my nature to like react in that way to a situation like that. So that like led to like, I don't know if you've heard of like the dark night of the soul and old spiritual writings, but it was exactly like that. It's like you go through this horrible period where, you question everything. And that's exactly what happened to me as a result of that. And it led to like years and years of inner work and consciousness work and personal work and, on myself, deep inside, and eventually it got to the point where I didn't know what to do anymore. And that was, I think, the time when I found like Akashic record reading, and I researched it and ended up doing it. And what it did for me was it helped, because I was wondering, like, the mental talk I was doing to myself were things like, what did I do to deserve this? What's wrong with me? Why is the universe or God, making this happen to me? That kind of language and that kind of perspective. And after the reading, I was like completely had my eyes open to the different perspective of the fact that this was a pattern that I had unconsciously been perpetuating in my life. And like, without going into gory details, because it's kind of a long story anyway, but it's like I understood, I saw the root cause, which was actually a path perpetuating into this life. And like that experience of meeting that person and then him leaving the picture and all the heartbreak and like soul crushing hurt and pain that I felt afterwards, I understood it. I saw it in a whole new light. And it was just like, this happened before. And, when we do Akashic record work, we work on, the issue might be present life or it might be past life. So we cover it all because the soul is eternal. So for me, it happened to be a past life thing that I was carrying over, and that's how it showed up. And I understood that through unconscious choices that I had been making in this life, I was perpetuating the pattern. So I hope that, it's hard to explain, but I hope that gets them, gets across what I'm trying to say is that the gist, the crux of it is going to make it easier for us if we all understand is that we are always at choice. We are always creating our experience as, in the moment, and in each moment, each choice we make, there's a consequence, whether it's a positive or negative consequence. And like the majority of the time, it's like we're making unconscious choices and we don't even realize it. And they're like knee-jerk reactions to a situation, and we react in a certain way. And it's actually it's an unconscious choice. So if we want to understand ourselves at soul level, it really helps to see where these choices originate. And that's what the Akashic records do. They show the root choice made in the past.
Right.
So,
okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm completely following you. And I don't know if it's just because I do have a little bit of a deeper understanding of it. But again, if anyone has questions, you can drop them in. I think it's a great topic too, because if you consider the fact that there are just patterns and behaviors that maybe we don't quite understand, this is a great place to start exploring. And if you can grasp it, for sure. But I want to also ask you, are you offering programs and stuff right now? How would someone work with you?
It's not a program per se. It's more of a session/reading type format. Soul profile and realignment session, which is where we go over who you are at soul
Can you
level.
repeat that? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
your signal is a little bit weak, so you break in and out sometimes. So if you can just repeat that would be great.
Sure. The basic session is called the soul profile and realignment. And what we do, it's a 2-part reading. And the first part is where we show you who you are at soul level. And we cover things such as energy centers. We all are made up of different proportions of energy centers. And those are energetic qualities that make us up. And we are all specialized. So we all have different proportions of those. We also cover, how many spirit guides are on our team. We cover our soul group of origination, which is star groups. And then the next part, and there's more to that, but those are the kind of like the highlights. Mm-hmm. Then we go in to the past stories that are keeping us from accessing our gifts. And our gifts are what I mentioned a second ago, the energy centers, and that's how we express them in our human existence. that gives us our divine self-expression. And when we make negative choices, we create a block to the vital force energy, and it's harder to like access and utilize our soul level gifts. So that's why it's so beneficial and it's so critical. If you want to create abundance in your life, you have to be expressing yourself in alignment with who you are at soul level. And when you clear the blocks and restrictions that are keeping you from doing that, then it opens it up. It opens up the energy flow. So that's what the basic session is. And then I have a package also that is, it's called Awakening, what's it called? I can't remember the name of it.
It's not the name of the package that matters. It's really about what you do, right?
Okay, yes, but it's an ongoing, it's an opportunity to do ongoing work in your record. So it's the basic session, and then it's a spirit guide session, and then it's another follow-up session to really catch the stuff that comes up afterwards, because this work is kind of like peeling an onion, because we are many faceted and many layered, and there will always be stuff coming up to clear. As you move forward and as you clear the old stuff, then you start taking new action in alignment with who you are at soul level. New things will come up to be cleared because you're ready to clear them. And the interesting thing also about this work is, if you're not ready to clear it, it won't show up in the record, in the reading. So it's not like you can have like a healing crisis and have all this crap come up and it's like, that's not the way it works, because our higher self and our guides won't let us take on any more than we can consciously process and get rid of. So that's the other really cool thing about this work. Not ready to let go of it, it won't show up in the reading. So
wow, that's an interesting component, right? You're not just going to bring all your bags and clear them all out. It's the layering process that you're going to have to uncover. I mean, I think that a lot of healing that we do, whether it's even if you look at from a religious perspective or from journaling and mindset and all these things, the learning, the healing, the growing is never finished. We're always pulling away the layers. It's kind of like walking. You learn to first you stumble and then you walk and then you run. There are these levels to which you can advance. And so it sounds like that's the same sort of thing here. So great. Well, I'm so happy that you were able to clarify this for us, because I think it's an area that I'm starting to hear more and more. And I don't know if it's just because those are my people, but I'm hearing it a lot. And I love that you came on here and you talked to us about this form of healing, because I think that for people who may have been in the place that you were, who said, I just don't know where else to turn, this could be a very valuable resource. So where would they find you if they want to start working with you, start finding out more about you?
My website is sarasmysticforest.com. And if you're interested in the soul realignment, once you get to the homepage, check on offerings. There's the menu, and then it'll show up the tab, the drop down will show up soul realignment Akashic Records, and dive in right there. There's several pages of readings available there, starting with the basic and then moving on to the other one. So start there. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so I dropped the link. I did some prep work ahead of time, and I dropped the link. So all I had to do is paste it and pin it, and that way, hopefully, people can see it as they're watching, so they don't have to wait for, what is this, 25 or so minutes into the broadcast. Like, how do I find her? So this is really great. I think if people could, if there's one thing that you really, really wish people knew about you, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask, because what we do is, for a lot of us, entwined in our messaging, but people who don't know you yet won't necessarily know really who you are and all about you. So if someone were to right now come to you, what is one thing that you really wish people knew about you?
About me. I want everyone that works with me or encounters me to know how powerful they are as a creator of their experience. Because I guess that's the core of an awakening, but that was my huge takeaway from when I started doing this work, and it's been a huge point of reference in my life ever since. Like, I'm powerful, and people don't realize that we are creators, we are gods and goddesses incarnate, and to navigate the third dimensional life, to navigate the physical world, everything is very dense here and it slows down, but we still affect change here. We still create outcomes all the time. And sometimes being dense and, physical, like we have bodies and, we have to navigate all this, hard stuff, we still can have results show up. It just takes a little longer, and we forget. And down through history, we've been so disempowered by the messages from institutions that say that we are not, we're powerless, basically. It's not true. It takes effort, but it doesn't have to be a struggle. It takes effort to create abundance. It takes effort to create what you want, but it doesn't have to be a struggle as long as you're doing it in alignment with who you are at soul level. And that's what I want people to know.
That's a powerful explanation about how powerful people are. So Stephanie is joining us. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
Glad you popped on. So we're about to head off, but do you have any questions for Sara at this time? If you do, feel free to drop them in. And of course, if you're watching the replay, you can always drop them in at any point. So the fact that everyone is more powerful than they probably are giving themselves credit for, I'm sure in doing the work that you do, there've got to be these epiphany moments where people start to see it and realize it. What is that like when someone goes through a moment like that with you?
It's kind of been low key. I don't know if they play it off or like minimize it, but like it seems like afterwards they're more like, I'll get an email like, wow, that was really, that was really amazing. Something along those lines. But it's like I do my calls on the phone usually, and it's not, I think they're still like taking it all in. Like when I deliver the information, it's still like, they're still processing it while we're on the call. So it's like, I don't get that immediate, like, oh my God, light bulb moment. It's more subtle. Like you have to like integrate it into your, being. And then it's later that I hear, oh, this changed for me when I started doing this. And wow, that was really, interesting the way, you shared that and like enlightened me to whatever it was. It's more like that. It's not, but it's more subtle and like after the fact where I get the feedback from it.
Right. It's kind of like when you have pain for a long time, not like debilitating pain, but maybe pain in a joint or pain, a sprain or something. You kind of, you at one point just wake up and say, oh, that's actually gone. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't feel that anymore.
Yes. It's like, or I feel lighter, or I feel a shift in, whatever it was in my relationship with my son or whatever, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. So Sara, is there anything else that you think our communities need to know about what makes you amazing, how you're blazing a path in an area that is still relatively new from a healing concept, or anything else that we need to know before we head off?
I think that was it. I just want everybody to know that this work is extremely transformative. And the other thing about it is that it's practical. You work with me, you have your session, and you go and you have homework afterwards to do, and you are guided to take different action that's in line with who you really are. So it's extremely practical in the real world. It's not just, sit down and meditate and close your eyes and shut the world out. It's you use it in your everyday life, with your relationships, with your, your choices, etc.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much for being on here today. And I learned so much. I'm sure the audience will learn so much too. And And so guys, if you want to learn more and you have a thirst for knowledge about this and maybe have an area that you're finding you just can't seem to cure it and heal it on your own, I highly recommend checking out Sara's website at saramysticforest.com. It's linked and pinned here in the thread. And for those replay watchers, thank you for taking the time and feel free to drop your questions. Sara, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on here and giving us an opportunity to learn so much more about the important work that you do.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Debbie.
Absolutely.
I loved it.
Bye.
Bye.